past the halfway mark here on the Bravo stream, but the matches, they keep coming. And this one in particular is of huge significance.
Yes.
It's FURIA versus Liquid, both hailing from Brazil. I'm Intero, I'm joined by Pengu. And both of these teams have not qualified for the playoffs yet. Team Liquid entered the day in a great spot, but they just lost to XSET, which is a womp womp for Liquid fans. For XSET fans, it's a big yay! And for FURIA fans, that's great too. FURIA came out on top in their very first matchup, but rematches are always a tricky thing to tell.
That they are, I mean, it really comes down to one, how well can you read your opponent with the adaptation of knowing how they played last time, and of course two, how are you showing up on the individual day? Because what happened yesterday doesn't matter anymore. It's all about what happens right now in this upcoming match against these two Latin teams.
Absolutely. The first match on Cafe Dostoevsky, FURIA came out ahead 7-5. But Liquid in their first match against XSET won. The rematch went in XSET's favor. And as we talked about in the previous match, rematches tend to favor the team that lost. They're going to be playing with a lot on the line. Team Liquid, their fate will be out of their hands if they lose this match. Yes, they will still be in an excellent spot to make it, but they will not control their own destiny. They will rely on a series of events that involve their three fellow group mates. So just in case you're curious, as Liquid currently huddle, Liquid still sits on top of the group at the moment with 9 points, but XSET is tied with them also at 9 points. Because round differential is the tiebreaker and Liquid has a higher round differential, right now Liquid's in good shape. But if Liquid loses here to FURIA by more than 3 rounds, XSET will go on top, Liquid will go down to second place and tie FURIA. But FURIA is not that far behind in round differential either. That will be Liquid's last match, and CAG will ultimately decide which teams go into the playoffs, whether that be FURIA, whether that be Liquid, whether that be CAG themselves, or whether that will be XSET. And all of Group B, should FURIA win this match, will be on the shoulders of a Japanese team coming from APAC.
Wildness, right? Nobody would have predicted
wild.
this. Absolutely nobody would have seen this coming. And day 3, final day of groups, it is one of those situations where we're finally starting to get some shape on the core roster that is going to make us to playoffs. Maps behind Parker's back, you can't see them, so any guesses as to what's happening right now? What do you feel in your inner head?
I'm dropping right now as the maps come in, but I
bunking
beg you
down.
production to be faster because
Oh.
this is very uncomfortable. Imagine you're like squatting.
Quick, production, quick, go through them. Cafe follows up, border next, and there's 2 more left. Clubhouse gone, which means Oregon is the map we're going to be playing and seeing. And Parker can hopefully stand up very soon and get those knees relaxed again because you are getting older with the years.
Thank you for pointing that out, yes.
I am too, by the way, in case you're curious. Also getting older. Hairlines
Everybody gets
receding.
older, actually.
That is true,
Everybody
unless
gets
you're
older.
Peter Pan and the people on the island.
Or Benjamin Button. I guess you get older, but you don't look it.
Supposedly.
We're going to Oregon, by the way. Oregon is a very fascinating map for these teams to go to. Liquid's playoff hopes are effectively on the line right now. There's still a shot Liquid can make it even if they lose here.
Yes.
Don't despair, Liquid fans, if you're watching us in English and not on the Brazilian stream, where the casters are going to be taking you through this match in Portuguese. Do not despair. I promise you, Liquid still has a shot. But they have to get over this FURIA hump first, and FURIA have looked like a team that have struggled with consistency. It is worth pointing out that FURIA is one of the 3 teams that are currently in Mexico City. They are playing with ping, and some of the teams will tell you that it's an advantage, some of the teams will tell you it's a disadvantage. I don't really care. I don't want to get into it, mostly because I don't want my Twitter mentions to blow up. But FURIA yesterday showed you that even in their current circumstances, they're a team that can fight well. In their matches so far against XSET, they lost, but they lost on the razor's edge in round number 12. They bounced back going all 12 rounds against Liquid. Then in their next match against XSET, they lose again, but they lose 7-4. They go to 11 rounds. Then they beat CAG in 10 rounds. FURIA, no matter what, is competitive. They have played 10 or more rounds in every single one of their matchups. This match, whether Liquid is the superior Brazilian team on paper or not, is going to be completely unpredictable.
It is, and if anything, based off the statistics you just mentioned, it's gonna be a close game, right? And we just saw Liquid looking a little bit vulnerable against Exit on Skyscraper, but also Skyscraper fundamentally can be a hard map to crack for teams, whereas Oregon is a staple in Rainbow Six Siege. Every single team plays it, they've seen it many times, the experience here arguably at the highest level. So it really will come down to the individual plays and what team shows up on the map more. We just saw Team Liquid huddled up, making their war cry, battle cry, whichever, getting in the zone. Chants.
Whatever you want to call it.
I saw it on the screen. I didn't hear it in my ears.
Well, because that was a silent one, but they did their chant before that.
Okay. Silent one.
On the other stream, by the way, on the main stream, if you want to watch both of them, if you have multiple browser tabs open, if you have multiple computers, if you've decided to buy multiple phones, by any chance.
That makes sense.
If you've decided to buy multiple homes for your multiple computers, which is ludicrous for people nowadays because the idea of home ownership is so silly right now.
Impossible.
Yeah, absolutely. But if you want to do that over on Stream A, this is a very critical matchup happening on Group A. So on Stream A, it's Group A, and essentially, you've got Oxygen playing against Direwolves.
Yes.
Spoilers inbound. Direwolves.
It's crazy.
One of the 2 remaining APAC teams that can conceivably make it out of the playoffs. They're from Taiwan.
Yep.
They picked up big points against Team 1, and now they're going up against OXG, the team from North America. OXG has an opportunity right now to effectively choose which of the 2 remaining teams from Group A go to the playoffs. Does OXG want Team 1 in there? Do they want Direwolves to go in? Do they think that maybe Direwolves is the weaker team in the playoffs in a best-of-3 system because Direwolves are less experienced? They think that the fact that Team 1 is in Mexico City, is that an advantage for teams playing here in Charlotte? Does OXG just simply not care, but they want to conceal some strats because they're not playing for anything? OXG will finish first in their group no matter what happens. So OXG can take it easy, they can play a map that they don't usually play, they can just show 0 strats, coast through their last match, and Direwolves could win, sending Team 1 home and Direwolves to the playoffs. OXG have an awful lot of power right now, but that's on the other stream, by the way. Here, neither team has any real power over anything but themselves. If Team Liquid don't win here, they finish the group stage with 9 points, unless they lose in overtime, and then their fate is out of their hands. Exciting stuff.
Exciting stuff indeed.
I love the ends of groups. I love the end of groups so much. It's always enjoyable, Nick, to see teams make it through. Obviously, there's the sad parts when teams go home.
That is, of course, true. If one team were to qualify, that means that someone somewhere else most likely has to go home. And
having winners means you also have to have
losers.
Not that any of these teams are losers.
Well, yes, but no.
We've had 4 losers so far as we've bid adieu to 4 teams today, or in America, since adieu would be if we were in Paris or in Quebec. Since we're in America, it's bye, y'all. That's it.
Is that what it is?
Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.
Y'all take care now.
Sure.
We're just moments away from the game getting started. We are going to Oregon, and I will once again remind you, if Liquid wins this match, they secure a spot in the playoffs outright. If FURIA wins, they pick up 3 points. This is, of course, in regulation. They pick up 3 points, and they end up in a 3-way tie with Team Liquid and XSET. Then, Cyclops, in their 2 matches, will play both XSET and FURIA. If Cyclops wins those 2 games, they get 3 points apiece, and everybody in this group finishes with 9 points. Now, I will say, Cyclops, as we pop the groups up on the screen for you, Cyclops currently only have 1 victory. Their round differential is very poor in comparison to the rest of their group mates, and they haven't needed overtime. So it's either win outright or get beaten in regulation. The likelihood of Cyclops winning their 2 matches today is very low,
but it's possible
based on past performance. But it is absolutely possible. And Cyclops almost made out of groups in Mexico. Even when people counted them out, they did so well. These matches are not played on paper, they're played on the server. So we can't just immediately write off Cyclops. This is the group for you just for some visualization, and then they cruelly take it away. The match is ready, so we're going to go on over to Oregon. Defender side at Oregon. Defenders go 4-2. They win Laundry. They win dorms, coin toss on the tertiary bomb sites. Do you go to meeting and kitchen, or do you go to kitchen and dining? Who knows? Team Liquid fighting for their lives. FURIA want an outside shot to make it in. It's within grasp for both of these teams to make it to the playoffs. Who's going to make it out? Who's going to go home? Liquid starting on defense. Conventional wisdom for Oregon suggests that that is the better side. They'll also start off the ban phase, and they'll remove Thatcher. I'm not gonna pretend to follow.
Don't. Bugger, you're used to it by now. Come on, it can't affect you that much.
Thatcher bans on Oregon. Come on.
Basic
Where's my
as it
ingenuity?
gets, okay, listen.
Where is my ingenuity?
FURIA are the kings of target bans.
Sacrifice.
There's your sacrifice. Sophia falls. So FURIA, they love target banning their opponents against XZ. They did it against CAG. They did it whether it's like the Muntia, the Vigil, or the Osa. They always have something up their sleeve that is a bit different. Of course, it is something that we see in Oregon time and time again. But I am sure when it comes from FURIA's side, there's a very big intent because Liquid likes his operator.
I think they leave Mira. I think they take out Valk. I was wrong.
You were wrong.
I have to leave now.
You gotta go. To be fair, you were
go.
doing a great job laying out the format earlier, saying about how you win basement and you win top floor and then you got tertiary conflict, because that is pretty much how Oregon plays out for a lot of these teams here on the defensive side. We'll have to see if Liquid can do just that, because they are starting in the favored position of defense and they are showing us an early Warden. And just like in Liquid's previous match against XZ, both teams are reading one another because both the Warden and the Ying are being shown right now.
Attackers can repick all 5 operators, so if they don't like this setup being shown by Liquid, they can very easily change it. I do like the tools that FURIA bring to the table on the very first round. Obviously, there's no Zofia, so what do you have to do? For the disabling effect, you need to bring an operator like Ying. And Ying's pick rate on Oregon is sky high. She is good on every single bomb site on this map, especially when you are taking meeting or the blue portion of this map. Very easy for you to drop a couple Candelas down through that E-box hatch. That's the hatch that is inside a meeting that leads to the electrical box down below. It also connects and often has openings in the walls looking into blue, which is also known as bunker. That's a very strong position that the defenders like to play, especially on the elbow portion of bunker, where there is a rotate to get back into the bomb site. Using a Ying to flush out that player. Using a Ying to flush out anybody playing an E-box. If Mira's available, you've almost always got a Mira window in there. She's banned, but you're going to have to figure out another way to hold that because you also have Pillar not too far away. Oh, boy. That
Team Candela?
They are... And STK took some damage right away. Okay, I don't know exactly what was going on here. Ask taking damage as well. This is a quick pace. We're 30 seconds into the round and already Handy is dead. Liquid with a big lead-off pick, and they start off killing in a very crucial match.
Yeah, and Liquid is... Oh, Ying is that execution-based operator, so normally it doesn't get a lot of play in the early stages of the round, but already one Candela being used, not really to their advantage. Some T damage went out, and of course, Handy fell early on. Ask getting that opening kill on the smoke. Both him and Paolo took a bit of damage, but it's nothing crucial just yet. 1 minute has been burned through, we still got 2 more to go, and FURIA are making quick work of their entry points. And honestly, if you haven't seen FURIA play before, this is the name of the game. The fastest, arguably most aggressive, most pro-efficient entry team. Arguably in the entire world of Rainbow Six Siege. They are the quickest. Fantasy, Spearhead for his team, but also STK and Handy, the 2 new picked up members of FURIA. They're matching that aggression as often as they can and doing a great job at that.
Handy has been one of the top fraggers as well for the team since joining the roster, though there is flexibility from FURIA. Miracle, the best statistical player for the team heading into this major, but he didn't have the greatest day yesterday. STK in particular was the main spearhead for FURIA. It looks to be the same way this time, even if they are down that Maverick. The Maverick being gone means that any potential denial will halt these players, but look at the lineup for Liquid. They have no vertical denial. Candelas go out and Nesk immediately activates those glasses to see through the smoke and to see through any concussions or any blinds that come on in. Resets picks up a kill on the Fantasy that looked like Nesk had gotten the down and then was secured. Another Candela goes out, and now it's Rare's time to jump in, but it's misplayed as everybody from FURIA is dead, and Liquid's first round is flawless.
You know what happened in the match we just saw between Exet and Liquid on Skyscraper?
What just happened?
Exet had a flawless beginning.
Did they?
Yeah, and now Liquid, they're taking that.
What did
doing it
Exet do with
themselves.
that flawless beginning?
Well, they got a couple of rounds. They got 1, 2, and that was it. They got 2 rounds.
Exet got 7 rounds.
Well,
They
yeah,
won.
But they only got 2 with the 1 flawless beginning. They didn't just get 7 rounds in the flawless round. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like we're not in sync today.
We're not in sync today.
I feel like we're not in sync.
You know what? It is my bad.
I feel
design.
like I'm the left half of your shirt untucked,
Oh,
and you're the
no,
or I'm the right
No,
half
no,
of your shirt
I
untucked.
think I'm
and you're,
untucked.
Are you untucked?
I
am I
think
the
I'm
left?
untucked.
Am I the portion that's tucked in?
You are definitely tucked in. You are nice and cozy and comfy, and I'm a little bit of a mess today. But you know what? We'll get through it. We'll get there. Anyway, Exit started flawless. Liquid now doing it themselves against FURIA, boding for a good start for them. Gives you a bit of confidence after just losing a match that you so thought you were going to be the winner of because you're playing a map you're so good at. Speaking of maps, when it comes to Oregon and Liquid, they've played it 3 times in the past 3 months, aka 90 days, and they have won it each and every single time. Whereas FURIA, they've also played it 3 times but only won in a single match of those. So statistically speaking, Liquid is the more successful Oregon team. In that very opening round on their basement defense, they showed a nice crossfire setup on the pillar E-box portion of the map, on that backside area where FURIA was attacking. And that's all what Oregon is about. The crossfire, enabling your teammates, the aggression from Fantasy, as we always see, just walking on in, almost gets a kill, but not really.
This is exactly what we saw at FURIA yesterday in both their matches against Exet and CAG, is that FURIA tries to get inside the building as quickly as is humanly possible. Round number 1 played out that way. They got rebuffed by Liquid time and time again. In this instance, they haven't lost anything other than some HP that Fantasy immediately tops up on the team with an Adrenal Surge from Finka. Liquid still roaming as they're down below and holding map control well off site. It's a Dorms defense up top. You do not want any of these teams to get beneath you, especially with the soft destruction that seems to be in abundance of FURIA. First kill goes to Ask yet again. He's led the way for his team both rounds thus far. And I have a feeling that things are going to be a little bit calm here, as Rare on that sledge, not particularly effective.
No, it's not. It does leave those more grenades on the table, but no, more grenades fall is handy, but it nice. Adrenal Surge gets him back up, but it comes at a cost.
Oh my, could we see another flawless round? FURIA only have 2 players left to all of Liquid's arsenal. Handy is very low on HP. The final Adrenal Surge will go off, as you pointed out. With Fantasy dead, there's not much they can do. Miracles taking a ton of damage, and that's it! How do you secure your spot in the playoffs? Well, the best start you can get is depriving FURIA of a single kill. 2 flawless rounds back-to-back for Liquid.
Maybe you're right. Maybe that 1 flawless round is all 7, Parker. Maybe you know it all. You get it. You see it, you secure it, and then it happens. 0-2 now. Favor and Liquid. They're gonna go to this tertiary bomb site. These are things get very dicey for them. You can choose between meeting and kitchen, or kitchen and dining. So one plays towards the big tower side of things, that's meeting, and of course the dining plays towards the small tower. Either way, a tower is involved in this instance. It will be meeting and kitchen, so what most teams do on their attacking side is that they go into the big tower, they open up the walls, and they try and plant. That's what we see from Europe and North America. We'll have to see if LATAM follows that same trend. The operator lineup right now is Finka, Sledge, Maverick, Thermite, Ayana. So again, it's always about the grenades, that soft destruction on the attacking lineup. You can use the grenades from below, from above, you know, horizontally. They do so much damage on the map of Oregon, and that is exactly why so many of those grenades are getting picked up. We do not see the attacker repick being kind of scrambling around the roster, but we still see the Maverick, we still see the Finka, so it's just about who gets to play them exactly on this FURIA lineup.
One small point on that previous round is how suboptimal Sledge can be when attacking Dorms. A buck often replaces that Sledge and puts them in a much better spot. You saw that the soft destruction from below, from FURIA, came out in hands of the grenades. You don't want to necessarily want to use grenades to open up lines of sight, especially when you can sub out that Sledge for a buck, use the Skeleton Key to open it up, burn out some of the ADSs or magnets that might be present. Obviously no magnets in this match, as Wamai is no longer available, he was banned. But the point is that if you have any of these anti-throwables, any anti-projectiles, A buck can clear that out quite effectively.
That he
But
can.
they didn't do that. They ran a sledge, and a sledge in that particular bomb site doesn't really make a lot of sense. Resets gets the leadoff pick again. FURIA break into the map within 45 seconds, and they surrender the first pick for the third round in a row. Team Liquid have got 2 flawless rounds so far. FURIA are still seeking out their first kill, and we are 7 minutes into action at this point.
Yeah, and the thing about FURIA is that they've banned the double mine, they're playing 8 grenades, but it's all about the gunplay instead, and this time it goes in their favor. STK takes out Paolo's Warden off the board as well. Another huge loss for Liquid, and well, they're still equal 4 versus 4, but Rare finding themselves in the white stairs of all places.
Palu had resets as backup inside of dorms. Palu himself was in trophy with a deployable shield to eat up some of that gadgetry that would be thrown his way. The clone goes out. Rare gets droned in, but still holds on white stairs as you talked about. And there's an adrenal surge too. Grenade in hand. Nesk does not get spotted. That's the real deal. And he picks up 2 big kills on the FURIA and immediately repositions looking for more. Rare on the hunt. Handy picks up the second kill of FURIA in this round and in this match. Still plenty of time to go. But Rare will come to blows with 2 players from Liquid. Doesn't think of it. Reset's holding the top of white. Both players in the same area. Reset's dancing around the grenade. Down goes Nesk. It's a 1v2. FURIA can come out ahead, and all of a sudden Rare has done just that. 2 very important picks to set us up into a 1v1. Still a minute to go. This, again, is something that FURIA benefits from. If you get in the building and engage quickly, you have lots of time to figure things out. And Rare against PSK will be the showdown to see if FURIA can snag their first round.
You spoke highly of PSK earlier, Parker. So there's a support player who does the thankless job, often in hard positions. This one no different. This nade could end the round for him, but the ADS catches it.
PSK there by split, sees the diffuser going down, and it's ill-advised from Rare with tons of time left. There was just no information, and there was no knowledge on the side of FURIA. FURIA calls their timeout after 3 rounds, having to burn it with your playoff hopes and aspirations on the line. Liquid getting 2 flawless rounds and then a coin toss of a round. Even though Liquid were still very firmly in control, FURIA have some soul searching to do here on this map.
It's a slow start. FURIA, of course, they are a momentum-based team, which you can very much tell from their playstyle. When the entries that they do, they work. When they get in the building in 20 seconds and finding a kill or 2, that is when they are so lethal because they can blindly have so much confidence. Yesterday, FURIA played against CAG, Cyclops, and they had all these crazy rush strats for every single bomb set on Bank, and because it worked the first time, they did it the second time. Worked as well, they did it the third time. They got 4 rounds for free just with crazy aggression. But these first 3 opening rounds against Liquid, they're being shut down by Ask and Resets, who has all 3 opening kills together against them. And now, bit of a trouble because bomb set rotation is going through. Liquid has won the tertiary bomb set of meeting. That's the tallest task you have on this map. So that means we go back to basement. We reset the rotation. We go through the motions again, and Liquid are looking to hold down the basement where they were victorious the last time in a flawless fashion. FURIA will need to slow it down and try and play more together to isolate members of Liquid and punish them rather than sprinting on in and falling early on.
Well, most of that round occurred upstairs in security, in kitchen, and in freezer stairs. And you might think to yourself, security in kitchen seems like an odd part of the map for these teams to do battle. But the freezer stairs are critical, and the hatch in security is also very important for the attackers, because the way that the defenders often set up that freezer wall is so that you have a long line of sight into that critical component. There it is, completely shot out. Not even a single reinforcement used there.
Again!
Oh, okay.
4th time in a row.
Hello.
Fantasy, 3rd time for him.
Would you like to do some analysis? I introduce you to Team Liquid, who get the first pick. Palu almost dies to a grenade, but no.
That's it. He
Survives.
stays alive.
That's it.
Sure, the attackers, they have the fin gap, but when Fantasy dies completely, not down but not out, but no, completely dead on the round, he cannot be revived. That's it. That means again, Liquid in the driver's seat. You mentioned how the round was built up. The roamers early on Kid Storm's hatch opened up, you fall down to kitchen, but now Liquid, with that opening kill, they've all fallen back to basement because they don't need anything else.
We highlighted it in the match yesterday with FURIA, but we'll talk about it again for those of you that might not have tuned in. Of all of the Tier 1 teams that are competing at this event, Fantasy has one of the worst survival ratings of any single player. Yesterday, coming into this match, it was 18%. That is very, very low. Now, look at the score for yourself. 0-4. He's been the first death a number of times. This is not the position that you need this star player of FURIA to be in. He's dropping the ball a little bit. You need a big game from Fantasy if you want to be able to match the firepower of Liquid. They're not getting it.
Yeah, he does have the lowest survival rate of his team still throughout the entire major, and that is probably going to stay the same way with how things are going right now. He's sitting on 20% for just Charlotte. If you combine the domestic play of Berlatim, he's at 18%. So it's not just a one-time deal. He is, for the most part, at the very bottom of that survival rate standing.
There are worse survival rates across the board. You see a couple on W7M, you see a couple on CAG that are lower too, but honestly, for a team like FURIA that is still in contention of the playoffs, and a player like Fantasy, who usually has such good stats, this is not where it needs to be. FURIA now dropping more nades into the laps of Liquid, damage being done as the health is just chipped away at, but they've been unsuccessful in finding a kill. The toxic gas from Ask will finish him off. Nesk has been down. Nitrocell from Palu takes out Rare. SDK is gone as well. It's not a kill yet onto Nesk, as there's only one left. And how about another flawless, by the way? Nesk was down on the ground. Liquid are playing with their food at this point, and also playing with this feud between these two teams. We said that in the rematch, the team that lost almost always has the upper hand, and it has been a no contest for Liquid so far. Through 4 rounds, 1 kill on average a round. FURIA's only got 4 kills. Nowhere near good enough. FURIA are getting smoked as Liquid march their way towards securing a playoff spot.
It will get easier for FURIA, though, in the sense that now we got Kid Storm defense coming up, and then, you know, if Liquid does win this one, we're going tertiary again. Basement is arguably the biggest difficulty for most attacking teams. It can be so hard to break apart the defense because there are so many crossfires and strong positions that defenders can utilize. And when you're losing a member early on, it gets even more difficult. Again, strategically speaking, FURIA bans out the Wamai. They play 6 or 8 grenades every single round. But how many grenade kills have we seen from FURIA? I believe the number is basically 0. They've done damage with them, but you would have to think, with this ban in mind, that they are aiming for at least 1 grenade kill a round because they're playing so many of them, but they never get to use them because they rush in so fast with no cover and they give up the opening kill. Now we see Fantasy on the Amaro, so speed is gonna stay up high, handy with the Capital, so they have something in mind for this round. We've seen a couple teams use the Amaro before. Normally, you'll go up a hatch from below, go in a window on side, create a bunch of chaos, but you need more than just chaos if you're FURIA. You need coordination, you need to get the opening kill, and try and play more together as a team because you cannot win these rounds 4v5.
All FURIA again trying to set a quick pace here as they've opened up some of dorms, and Fantasy is in, by the way, still looking for his first kill. Rare swatted away by Palu. It seems like the entry for FURIA not working out. 2 kills from Liquid. Fantasy now inside of Attic.
Oh,
he doesn't see Nesk! Oh my goodness gracious! Fantasy gets his first kill, but Nesk is invisible in the corner, and FURIA's execute in a minute is all gone. It's STK as the last player from FURIA. Up top of White Stairs, and he's dropped and dead by resets. 5-0 for Liquid. It wasn't flawless because there was a single kill from Fantasy, but it was as close as you're gonna get. 5 kills through 5 rounds for FURIA. Liquid are having no problem handling this Brazilian team.
This is going to be one of the fastest games of Rainbow Six Siege I have ever seen if this keeps up, because not just are we going 5-0 right now, but the rounds are ending within the first minute and 30 seconds almost every single time. And Fantasy, he got the entry position through that generator window, but he couldn't find any players. He walked through the entire bomb site, both of them. Big window area, through the rotate to Kid Storms, went to Attic rotate, walked past Nesk, got 1 kill, then got traded back. Didn't find much success, and also he was one of the last players to stay alive on that aggressive entry. Tertiary bomb site, Similar story, same choice as before. It is Meeting and Kitchen and Liquid are extending up above, fortifying Kid Storms because they want to have one player in there that can play around the vertical holes in the floor below him, where the side players, the anchors, if you will, of that role, can help him as well. It worked greatly in their favor last time. FURIA, they came 2 players on the armory side, 1 person walked up the white stairs, but they lost the gunfights again. We see Ask right now making a line of sight that's up above to help that player get a little bit of line of sight towards the big window, and the rotate from resets here will enable him to walk around if he were to get stuck in this room.
Nowhere near as dominant as a performance as we're seeing out of Liquid, but Liquid did experience something very similar yesterday to XSET when they went down 0-4, and Liquid still came back. They had that mental fortitude, they had that warrior spirit to take every round one by one. FURIA can do the same, but against a team like Liquid and with the circumstances that FURIA are in, I don't know if this is likely. Look at that. Another opening pick for Liquid. It's almost boring at this point how Liquid are just so good on those first picks.
That actually means that every single opening kill, all 6 rounds, have gone to Team Liquid with that opening kill. So that means FURIA, you've played 4v5 in the first 30 seconds, every single round, and Rare, again creeping around, trying to get a freebie, has the line of sight, has the angle, but no damage gets dealt. Everybody stays alive inside of Liquid.
We're on a set schedule, by the way. So if this match ends as quickly as it looks like it might, you could be waiting upwards of an hour, which means that the OXG Direwolves match will be where your focus goes. Nice nade tossed in. It claims the player from Liquid that was playing by the stairs. Down goes resets. Palu answers back with one onto Rare. FURIA, again, will trail in numbers. We're at the halfway point of the round, which I think we've only seen once so far. So by Liquid and FURIA standards, this one is a bit slower, but just like that, 2 kills from Liquid come out, leaving Fantasy in a 1v4, and he's on the window. He had a great round previously by getting a single kill, and at this point for FURIA, that's honestly as much as you can ask for. Liquid are just going to line up. I guess they are impatient because they don't want to wait the minute and 20 seconds that are left for Fantasy to come to them. I will say this, as bad of a start that Fantasy and FURIA have had, if there's a player that could potentially figure out a 1v4 against you, it's Fantasy. He has a couple targets lined up, can't hit any of them. PSK, that's the Mercy kill onto FURIA. Match point, Team Liquid are up 6-0 already.
So, Parker, you might not have the answer to my question, but I'll ask it anyway.
Okay.
Have we seen a 7-0 so far at this major? I don't remember one.
We've not.
We have not, right?
We have not as far as I am aware.
Now, I'm not saying that we're going to go there, because FURIA is a great team. They're going on the defensive side. It's heavily favored for them. But there is a chance right now, because we are at the 6-0 mark in favor of Team Liquid. They are going to go basement. You guys can see it just here. You're looking at the beautiful players of Team Liquid. But basement has been locked in for FURIA. This could be their first defensive round. It could also be their final defensive round in this side swap as well. Have to see what they can do. Operator lineup is very aggressive. You see that in just a moment. The highlights are going through your screen right now. We see Palu holding down the Kid Storms situation upstairs, and now we are downstairs instead. Fantasy on the Vigil, a stable pick for him. Comfort, I think, is the name of the game for FURIA. Get you on a comfortable operator with a great gun. That's why we see the Must being brought out as well. That's the roaming duo between these 2 players. And Handy on the Oryx, the fastest operator in Rainbow Six Siege, can also help out in this big tower room situation. From the side of Liquid, it's a stable lineup. The PSK on the Nomad, we see this, it's a classic. You lock down the map, you lock down the rotations, you can play safely inside the map itself, and we see 4 roamers from FURIA. They want to get aggressive and spawn peek and get in the face of Liquid. We'll have to see what they can do about it.
I'm just pulling up all the matches because I've been taking notes, like, for example, the amount of aces that we've had or things like that, or who has gotten an ace so far. And you know what I'm not seeing? I'm seeing a big fat 0.
I have not seen one.
There has not been a 7-0 at all during these matches. In fact, by my math, we haven't had a 7-1 either. Every team has got at least 2 rounds to their name, even in losing efforts. So no 7-0, no 7-1 just yet. The most lopsided match, Nick, have been a few 7-2s. Astrala 7-2'd, BDS, for example. Obviously, you know, you don't have any in this group other than Liquid 7-2ing CAG. You have Team 1 7-2ing Direwolves. You have Oxygen 7-2ing Direwolves. So there are a couple, but nothing quite this lopsided. And it's certainly not with 3 flawless rounds and 1 that was as close to a flawless as you're going to get.
Note how passive Liquid is playing right now. They are waiting and expecting FURIA to do the work for them by swinging into the lines of sight. And they were right, because FURIA were spawn peeking 4 members. There's the first swing, but it goes in the favor of Liquid again. All 7 opening kills is on their side.
Palu, an absolute monster as FURIA surrenders the first pick for the 7th round in a row, and that could be the death knell for this team in this matchup. That doesn't doom FURIA's playoff chances, by the way. They're still very much open, but it rides quite heavily on what CAG does next. We entered this matchup debating whether Liquid would have the ability to bounce back after their exit match, and it sure looks like that's the case. Handy picks off 1 for Liquid. That's PSK off of the board. There's still so many more to find. As FURIA now wait patiently. Liquid plotting the next steps. We're at the minute mark. I don't think we've seen the final minute yet of this match because of how quick FURIA was to get into the building.
I think you're right. First time for this matchup. SDK not slowing down just yet, looking for more blood. The gunfight comes up, but again, it's Nesk, it's Liquid, winning it with ease. And with these adrenal surges, we'll get more health again.
Someone call the cops, because Nesk right now is 911, and there's a murder happening, and it's Team FURIA as they are just in trouble. But look at that, on to Nesk. Nicely played by Rare, and suddenly FURIA have a very winnable round. It's here, it's theirs for the taking. His resets has been down. Ask will need to clutch, but he gets resets back up. He gets swung from elbow. FURIA deny Liquid the 7-0. But they're still so far from the next step, which is overtime. Team Liquid will sit pretty. They've still got a timeout. They're still the story of this match. But it looks like a defender-sided Oregon because the defense have won every round. FURIA know they're in trouble. They came into this match with all smiles. I don't know. I'm not an expert. I'm no body languageologist, but it doesn't look like they're very happy. I wouldn't be with this performance either. They need to keep their cool, and they need to let the bomb sites work in their favor. They'll go upstairs to dorms where things look a little bit more sensible for the defense.
And all Liquid needs 1 odd round to go in some weird direction, right? And that can be a clutch, it can be a mistake from FURIA, it can be a punishment of some sort. And the round we just saw in the basement attack, even that came relatively close. FURIA started winning their gunfights, and what do you know? All of a sudden they were in a winnable position. But Liquid are not just warmed up, they are heated right now, whereas FURIA, they're pretty much going in cold. Very few players, as you see on the left-hand side of your screen, have even gotten more than a couple of kills. 1 from SDK, 2 from Handy, 2 from Miracle, 4 from Rare, and 3 from Fantasy. So the amount of kills that 1 player has on FURIA is basically the amount that 1 player has almost on the side of Team Liquid if you're looking at Nesk. It's going to be a difficult task to try and get back into this, but at the same time, it's very much possible. Liquid came back against Exile and Villa, they could do it. Now FURIA on Oregon against Liquid will have that same opportunity, but it's a long road ahead of them.
And we've seen this happen to Liquid before. All it takes is a couple real scrappy rounds to knock Liquid off their stride, burn their time out, and at that point, Liquid's mental is not in the place that you need it to be. FURIA will continue to roll, and momentum in Rainbow Six is solely in your mind. It's almost never in the server unless you talk about bomb site rotations, which is another trouble that FURIA is going to have.
Yes.
Not to undersell FURIA right now, but even if they succeed on the 2 main bomb sites, that meeting kitchen or dining kitchen bomb site, that's the tough nut to crack for the defenders. Now, Liquid didn't have much of trouble with them. They went to meeting both times, but Liquid hasn't had much trouble at all in this map. So you can't really take that and extrapolate. For FURIA, though, things might be more normal. You're going to struggle if you get to that 3rd bomb site. As for now, you got to get through dorms first at the halfway point of the match, or as close to as we can get. Nobody's died yet. Liquid very decidedly slowing the pace down after seeing what FURIA put together. And just like that, 8 rounds in a row, Liquid have the opening pick.
Yeah, there's also an important kill because Rare was hiding down below inside security. That was the only real roam and only real problem for Nest downstairs. And now we see SDK taking an aggressive fight here with the Retero drone exploding at the bottom of his feet.
Sometimes you hear the Retero drone go a little bit nuts. Handy gets the very first pick for FURIA. They're back to a 4v4, biding their time as that gaping chasm opened up from Closet will provide an opportunity for FURIA to swing. But there's the other portion of it, or be swung. Now a maneuver from Fantasy through Trophy. His target is somebody on Liquid. Nitro Cell expended, nobody there. PSK was a little bit behind, and because of that, the Goyo does not see the tussle that's coming. But PSK has an opportunity. As he's got an air jab as well, maybe flesh out the player upstairs, a soft wall that can be shot through as well. Alda still in play for FURIA. So there's lots of bullets that can be just spewed the way of Liquid as the time continues to tick on down. Nesk at the top of White Stairs knows what needs to be done, but he doesn't want to necessarily alert one of the defenders because the moment he hits that barbed wire, the calls will be out. Bullets go in his direction. There's a player down below that's Fantasy. He'll be able to take out Nesk. There you have it, as both members from FURIA collapse. Liquid finds 2 kills, a third to add to it. It's Miracle now. The name couldn't be more fitting because that's exactly what FURIA needs, and they're not gonna get it. Their hopes and dreams come crashing down as Liquid give us our very first 7-1 and have secured a spot in the playoffs. A Brazilian team will be on the main stage on Friday here in Charlotte.
And that's what they could want it. They just want to represent their region on the big stage. They will do that once again. And while FURIA, they are still in it. They are not going home yet. They still have a fighting chance. But of course, with a loss, it does get more difficult for them to continue on forward. And FURIA, they looked better on the defensive side. But those attacking rounds, sacrificing every opening kill, even on defense, we gotta start solving that for their future games.
Now, here's the one huge problem for FURIA, by the way, is that FURIA's round differential coming into this match was a +1. It is now going to be at a -5 or a -6 because of the drubbing that they just took. Not only did FURIA lose, but getting blown out really hurts their chances against XSET, because if FURIA wins their matchup against Cyclops and XSET loses to CAG, both of those two teams will finish at 9 points. Both XSET and FURIA will be tied in points.
Yeah.
But then it'll come down to the tiebreaker, which is round differential. At the moment, XSET was at a +3. Now you're at a -5 for FURIA. FURIA doesn't run up the score against CAG, and XSET keeps it close in their match. Even if it's a loss, XSET goes on even if FURIA wins. So Liquid don't have to worry about it. They are in the playoffs. We'll see them on Friday against one of the teams. We'll wait to see which one. But other than that, there's still a lot of fight to be had here in this group. We have a break ready for you, and then we'll be right back. Well, FURIA got the better of Liquid the first time that they met, but the second time it was not even close. Both FURIA and Liquid speedrunning their way through this match, and we didn't get to see a 7-0, but we got a 7-1, and it was our first 7-1 here in the group stages of Charlotte. There's not many more matches to go, so I don't know if we're going to see another 7-1 or a 7-0. On the other stream right now, Direwolves and OXG are playing each other, and I'm not going to spoil it, but they have at least both acquired a single round, so there will be no 0 over in that direction. As for this match, Liquid have secured their spot in the playoffs. They move forward to Friday, and they're done. They're off. They can relax, they can start scrimming and start preparing, And we don't know who they're going to play just yet. That'll probably be determined later today. But in the meantime, Liquid must be giving a pretty big sigh of relief as they've had some struggles closing out some of these games.
Yeah, they have had. I mean, we know Liquid so well, and they always talk about it. They always talk to us about how the one thing they want to achieve whenever going to an international event is to play in front of a crowd. Of course, given COVID, that hasn't been the case for a very long time. So I know for a fact, speaking to the coach this morning, that was the goal coming here. They want to go to playoffs. They've done it.
Liquid's played in front of a crowd before, by the way. There's been crowds in Brazil for some of their regional events, inter-regional events. So they know what it's like, though I don't know how many here in Charlotte will be vocally supporting Liquid, especially given that there are 3 North American teams that have made it. A 4th North American team from this group could make it as well. It really hinges on what happens between FURIA and CAG in the next 3 matches. FURIA, as you can see, did not put up much of a fight here, and you have to hope, if you're a fan of FURIA, that this is not a repeat performance later on down the road. Because if FURIA puts up another dismal performance like this, that's it, they're out.
It's true, and I mean, the opening kills, opening death story is all you gotta look at here. I don't even care about cost or kills or deaths. Opening kill, all 8 rounds going to one team, that is the entire story from a statistical aspect at least.
I mean, you even saw on the side of your screen with those stats up, they barely broke a single kill a round. That is a dreadfully poor average. We commend players when they get a kill per round themselves and say that that's really good to have. But a whole team only getting 1 point whatever kills per round is not great. Here's the update, by the way, for Group B, just in case you're curious of what we are looking at, since you don't have a visual representation until now. Team Liquid qualified. That's what the Q means. Qualified.
Nice.
XSET are the next opportunity for Group B, but they need to win their match to secure themselves. All XSET needs is a single point. If XSET make it to OT in their matchup against CAG, they are guaranteed a spot in the playoffs. If they win their match, whether it be in overtime or regulation, they go to the playoffs. That's what it is. This match against Team Liquid for FURIA was in many ways a must win. And again, I'd like to refer you to the right side of the screen in round differential. That is our tiebreaker. So if FURIA wins and XSET loses, both teams will be tied with 9 points. But that is a big difference between round differential at the moment. If FURIA do not blow out Cyclops in their match, and if XSET loses but they keep it close, it doesn't matter that FURIA wins. XSET would still have a higher round differential, and they would qualify for the playoffs, giving all 4 NA teams representation on that stage.
Which is kind of crazy because North America has been kind of coming out of the waters lately. First Invitationals, now the Charlotte Major, a region that has been quiet over the last 2 years, are really rising to the occasion.
What was it? Of the top 8 teams at SI, 4 of them were North America. If I remember correctly, it was 1 EU team, 3 Brazilian teams, 4 NA teams making it to the SI finals. And it wasn't even on North American soil. Usually the 6 Invitational is, but because of the pandemic, for the last 2 years, the SI has been played in Europe. So you can't turn to it and be like, well, NA does well in North America, because last I checked, Stockholm, Sweden is not in North America.
Don't think it is.
I don't think it is. Neither you nor I are Swedish, so we don't exactly have full expertise and knowledge, but we've been there a couple times.
Fabian would beg to differ. He would say that Denmark is south of Sweden, but whatever.
To Fabian, Denmark is actually a suburb of Sweden.
Exactly.
So
the south part of Sweden.
But Fabian's not here, and he won't be, so we don't care what he has to think. Speaking of North America, they're in action in our next matchup. Dark Zero are currently fighting to remain the top team in their group. They have an opportunity to do that by playing up against G2. This match is actually quite consequential because if G2 wins in regulation by a large enough margin, G2 ends up winning the entire group. And because of the way that the playoffs work, the first seed will play up against a second seed. Presumably the second seed in the group is going to be weaker. So for G2, this is a very heavy matchup. But G2 also then play later, I think against W7M,
yes,
if I remember correctly.
Final game.
So for Dark Zero, they need to win this if they want to lock in their spot first overall. If not, they could end up playing Oxygen, who's going to finish first in their group, or potentially another tougher opponent. You don't necessarily want an interregional matchup. That said, the matchup will be in a couple minutes. We're well ahead of schedule, so sit tight, or we might even show you some of the A Street, as Direwolves and Oxygen are in action there. If Direwolves win this match, they make it to the playoffs and would be the lone representation from APAC so far. Either way, sit tight. We'll be back when the next match is ready.